Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This is Orphanlast, aka Skylar Madison, and today I'm coming at you with a 51 animation challenge video. Now, there's three little challenges right there at the end of the level 1 series of challenges, and all of them have to do with a flour sack, okay? So, there's three challenges, a flour sack waving, a flour sack jumping, and a flour sack kicking a ball. And I was just thinking, that kind of makes a story. So I decided to do a little bit of thumbnailing to kind of get this down. So I have this little flour sack number 1, just walking across the scene. And I decided, it'd be pretty funny if he was kind of a sad flour sack, kind of just feeling down in the dumps, giving him a sad walk and such like that. Now, when drawing this made it absolutely very apparent. Now, I've always been aware of this particular flaw in Opentoonz, but when you make a selection inside of Opentoonz and you grab the corner and press Control and try to kind of like warp and skew it in some sort of way like that, like you do in Photoshop or even in Flash or Adobe Animate as it's called now, for some reason inside of Opentoonz it doesn't do that. And the code is out there on pretty much every graphic-oriented software out there, even open source software. So the idea that this particular feature is missing inside of Opentoonz just doesn't really make much sense, because it would have really been able to get me to kind of skew the image that I drew to kind of get closer to the emotion that I wanted it to have, rather than restricting me basically to the point to where I just had to just keep on refining it more and more and more by hand. Now, I could do this actually a lot easier with pencil and paper, and the typical statement is, oh, don't complain. Don't complain about the tools. It's not the tool, it's the person that's using it. And that's correct. But, sometimes having more tools to compensate for the fact that I'm not drawing on pencil and paper is pretty useful. I still was able to pull it off regardless. Now, after the sad walk cycle with flour sack number 1, he leans back because he gets hit in the face with a ball. Now, I decided that these three challenges would be best served as one singular challenge, basically, that tells a story. And I'm so glad that I'm doing this challenge, because I'm really getting sick and tired of animating faces. That's being it. I'm just the guy that animates faces, and that got pretty old really quickly. Now, I have flour sack number 2 coming into the scene. He's kind of the antagonist of this little story. He comes in, running in, and you'd think that, oh, I'm so sorry, the ball hit you in the face. But no, that's not his behavior at all. And I decided that regardless of which challenge came first or whatever, the most important thing is that the challenge is accomplished. Things can happen outside of the established order on the list. So, whatever serves best for the story. Now, I don't want to bite off more than I can chew and just decide, oh, I'm going to do this one and this one and this one out of order, and then forget what challenges I have and haven't done. That's not something that I'm interested in. Anyways, so I decided that, okay, he comes to a screeching halt, and I thought it would be kind of funny if all of the weight, all of the flour inside of him starts to go up towards the upper torso of this flour sack while he's coming to a screeching halt, and have the flour kind of just bounce right down at the end when he finally stops. Now, when he stops, he's looking up at the ball. He's not looking at the person that he just inflicted pain on, and it's because he wants to catch the ball. And so here I decided to copy the flour sack on the ground and kind of think, okay, well, how am I going to pose him? I'm going to have him look up, and so at this point, flour sack number 2, he basically stomps on the ball once it hits the ground, and he holds it in place and he waves at the flour sack number 1. And then after he's done waving, he basically takes a step back and goes for kicking the ball as hard as he can, and I think this is a funny little story here. And here you see me kind of adjusting the pose a little bit. I'm trying to think, okay, well, how am I going to communicate fear in a flour sack? And I thought, okay, well, his eyes would be possibly somewhat angry, and maybe his hands, you know, the little hands could basically function as a type of eyebrows to kind of show concern and worry. And so the flour sack number 2 goes ahead and kicks the ball, hits him right in the face again. And so I thought, okay, well, that challenge has been marked off the checklist, and you know, already I decided I'm going to be doing more than what the challenge has already established. Extra points, I think, for those that decide to take on this particular series of challenges or exercises, whatever you want to call them. Extra points goes to the people that happen to take on more than what the challenge has actually said. I have a walk cycle and a run cycle, and every time that the ball hits Flour Sack 1 in the face, I decided, you know, it'd be really cool if his entire body kind of starts sliding just a little bit. And I thought that would be cool. And here I was thinking, okay, Flour Sack number 1 gets up and he starts stomping, and then that will be him basically accomplishing the last little challenge here, where it's a flour sack jumping. But then I decided, no, flour sack number 2, instead of him just running around flour sack number 1, it'd be funnier if he jumps over him, just to kind of demonstrate how little he cares about the damage he inflicted. Flour sack number 2 is obviously the antagonist of this thing, which is hilarious only in the context of a cartoon, such as something that you would expect from Looney Tunes and such. And that pretty much wraps up this video. So you guys may be wondering about a few things this week. You guys might be wondering about the Dragon King collaboration. That's been postponed. I'm reworking how I'm doing that challenge. Also, the presentation video series. I would love to keep working on that. The sooner the better even, because the sooner I'm done with that, the sooner I'll be able to have the presentation for the collapsible windows, bounty, or crowdsource, whatever means of getting it funded I decide. The sooner that presentation video is finished, the better. However, Critafor will allow me to export in SVG, so that will basically mean that I will officially be able to create these icons, quality icons, with Krita, and they'll be able to be used inside of Opentoonz. So I'm waiting for the release of Krita number 4 until I can go ahead and start resuming that series. So just be a little patient with that, and thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe, and if you didn't like it, please like, share, and subscribe anyways. And if you'd like to take a look at any of my other videos, feel free to click on any of the links that are appearing on the screen right now. Thank you very much for your time.